This play is so complex. It operates on so many levels. So when the theater and I started talking about how were we going to cast this play, we set out a wide net because I knew we needed some very, very skilled actors who have to act in two different theatrical styles. They have to act in a contemporary realistic play, which a lot of this play is, and they have to act in a 19th century melodramatic style, which is a very specific convention with heightened language, with melodramatic posturing, with musical underscoring. A melodrama is a very specific type of style, and much of Branden Jacobs-Jenkins' play An Octoroon incorporates the real language and the real play of Boucicault's play. So I needed skilled actors for that. In addition, three of the actors play three characters each. So the African American actor who plays BJJ, the black playwright, also plays in whiteface the white hero of the melodrama, George, and the white villain of the melodrama, McCloskey. The white actor who plays Dion Boucicault, the Irish playwright, he was an Irish playwright, who plays him as, and also has to play the indigenous person Wanoti in the play, very offensive racial stereotype, we could talk about that. And he also plays the auctioneer, Lafouche, the Louisiana auctioneer in the play, within the play. Finally, our South Asian, Filipina American female actor plays not only a Filipino American female assistant in the contemporary part of the play, but she also plays two male roles. She puts on blackface and she plays the old Stephen Fetchit, racially offensive stereotype Pete in the 19th century melodrama, as well as playing the 5-year-old pickaninny little boy, Paul, who something happens to Paul in the melodrama, which is what really sets the rest of the melodrama off. So she plays two very crucial roles in the melodrama. So I needed three actors who could convincingly play three wildly separate characters each, as well as I needed three African American female actors who play slaves in the 19th century melodrama, but these three roles are completely written by Branden Jacobs-Jenkins, and I don't want to give away these women what they do, but I will just say that Branden has envisioned that the way that slaves sound might not be what we imagine, because this goes back to what we were talking about a little bit, why I love this play and why I was so blown away. I realized when I watched the play in 2015, when I saw it in New York, that whenever we see slaves represented in American culture, it's from the white gaze. We never think about Gone with the Wind, think about Song of the South. We never think about all the great old Bette Davis movies and all the old movies that you've seen where we see slaves depicted. It's always a white person who's written that story, not a person of color. So they have othered the slaves. What Branden has done, which is so smart and so mind-boggling, is he said, I wonder, how do those slaves sound when there aren't white people around? If a person of color is writing that, how are these people going to sound? And that's what really blew my mind. I think what first blew my mind when I watched the play is that I had never thought to myself, I had othered the slaves too, because my way into the world of slavery was through the white gaze. It had never been through the black gaze. So Branden has done something so wonderful that I needed three highly skilled black female actors to understand that slyness and fully embody who these women were, both within the melodrama, when they're around white people, and when there are no white people around. And as in the real world, there's a lot of code switching. when people of color are within their own community, or anybody within a community, people tend to sound one way. And when they mix in the majority community, very often they sound another way, because that's just the way the world works. When you're among your own people, you sound one way. And when you're in a mixed group, you sound another way. Branden understood that, and he wrote that into the play. So I needed women who could do both, who could code switch within the play. And then I also needed someone who could convincingly play the Octoroon and do a great 19th century true life heartfelt performance, because if we don't identify with her and her fate, the play doesn't work. Either the 19th century play or the 21st century play doesn't work. So I needed a very skilled female actor who could play that heightened 19th century melodrama language in such a way that it's still moving and truthful. And then I needed someone who could play the fading Southern belle in the 19th century melodrama, and both be true to the melodrama as well as be just a wonderful clown. And I found all of those actors. So it was a high bar, and we saw a lot of actors. But I've come up with just a fantastic cast of 8 people who are just fantastic in the show. The Fountain Theater and I have just amassed just an amazing group of artists / designers behind the scenes. I wanted very much, and the Fountain agreed, that because of the nature of this play and where we are in 2021 with the ICU White American Theater Manifesto, and finally the understanding that theaters need to be as diverse and inclusive as the rest of the world, that we're all reckoning with that. We worked very hard to create a very diverse team of designers behind the scenes. I'm so proud of all of them. They have just designed the hell out of the show. It's unbelievable how it sounds, how it looks, the fight direction. We have a female fight director, Jen Albert, who there are so many fights in the melodrama. People are always fighting because the stakes are so high. So there are about 5 or 6 fights in this, with knives and tomahawks and slaps and women grappling each other, and just so many fights. So Jen Albert has done a fantastic job. Our sound designer is Mark Antonio Pritchett. It's a melodrama, which means that it's almost continuous music. And Mark has not only composed a lot of the music, he has designed a lot of music and found a lot of good sound, and it's just beautifully designed. The sound is so integral to a melodrama, and he's done a fantastic job. Derek McDaniel is the lighting designer, and the challenge, which we haven't talked about at all, is we're working in a brand new theater. The Fountain has built an outdoor stage, and that means that all the electronics that usually live inside the Fountain, we had to figure out a way to make them all live outside. So lights, sound, video projection, all had to figure out, how do we make this work? So we really built the infrastructure of this brand new theater space from the ground up. So Mark Antonio Pritchett, who did the sound design, Derek McDaniel, who did the lighting design, and Nicholas Santiago, who did the video projection design, all had to figure out, how do we do that? So boy, oh boy, did we spend weeks inside, both pre-production and in production, figuring out how that's done. And they, along with the producers, Simon, Stephen, and James Bennett, and Scott Tomey, who is the technical director at the Fountain, what they've done is just unbelievable and magical in terms of creating that. So Derek McDaniel, Nick Santiago, and I had collaborated on a production of The Bitter Earth that I produced for the Road Theater. We filmed it, and it happened to star Matthew Hancock. It happened to star Matthew Hancock, who is the lead of An Octoroon, so we'd all collaborated before. Annie Yee is our choreographer. There's a lot of dancing in a melodrama as well, and she's done a fantastic job choreographing all these sounds. There's a lot of dancing in the 21st century part of An An Octoroon as well, so she's come up with some inventive dancing there. Altogether, when we had our first Zoom production meeting, there were about 19 or 20 people who all collaborated to create this fantastic, magical production outside. There was just, I mean, again, we just built a theater. And we have a production up 2 months after they started first loading in. Oh, Frederica Nascimento, who did the amazing set design. It's a beautiful set. We collaborated for weeks discussing how did we want this to work. She and I talked a lot about, we both love visual arts painters, so we talked a lot about the work of Kara Walker, of Norman Lewis, of Joseph Cornell. And when you come see the show, you will see that all of their influences, Carrie James Marshall, all of their influences are very much in her set design and in the video design as well. Frederica has done a fantastic job, as well as honoring the Middle Passage, the very dark aspects of slavery. Even though the play is, I haven't mentioned this, is very, very funny. There are moments of the play that are not funny at all, because again, Branden is asking us, what do we give a pass on in the 21st century? What can we laugh at now? Nobody does blackface anymore, which is actually not true, but we tend to laugh at it. Oh, we've come so far as a culture. But Branden asks rightly, have we really? So Frederica has done such a fantastic job of honoring the reality of this slave trade, the Middle Passage, what life on a plantation was actually like. So has Nick Santiago, and have really supported the play in terms of asking, how far have we come? Are we honoring the past? Let's not forget the past, but let's really embrace all of it as we try to create this world that we're living in right now.